Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Gamefromscratch, and I'm generally on top of new software here on this channel, but this one flew under my radar, and a lot of people referred it to me, said, this one, you gotta check it out, it's awesome. And I checked it out, and it's awesome. We're looking at a program today called PixiEditor, and you can see it in action right now. This is a straightforward graphics editor, raster graphics, and so on, but it's got some superpowers. It's actually got a lot of superpowers, as we're going to see in just a second. Now, first off, this is it in standard painting mode. As you can see, the performance is very nice. We can move in, we get fat grid of pixels if we wish to edit them down there, but right now we are in traditional painting mode. So I've got magic wand select and so on over here. I got traditional flood flu. I got lasso select and so on. But where it gets impressive is I can actually switch between modes. So right now we're looking at painting mode, you know, your traditional, say, Photoshop setting with your layers over here. But I can switch over to pixel art mode, like so, and you can see the tools changed up. Now I'm going to show you some of those in just a second, but even cooler, there is a vector graphics mode as well. So this is a raster, pixel art, and vector graphics application all in one. But that's only actually scratching the surface of what this thing is capable of. And here is a bit of a demonstration. So this is a pixel art scene. It's one of the demos you can actually go ahead and check out when it's available from the main screen on this guy. And I'm going to go ahead and hit play button over here. You're going to notice something here. See how it's doing things? Well, how is it doing that? Well, this is where it gets really impressive. It's also entirely node driven. So you can control the heck out of this thing using a node network, like what you'd see in like Blender geometry nodes. They're here for creating this, the various different versions of this tree as they animate over time. So all that functionality is here. On top of that, speaking of animation, well, how about we check this one out? Let's look at this guy and load it. And you can see here you've got your pixel editing with, you know, your individual fat grid of pixels that you can work with, but you've also got animations. In this particular case, we have absolutely nothing special going on in terms of that the graph view on this. Instead, this is all being done with a traditional timeline. So you can see here a timeline of the various different frames here. We also have onion skinning, so we can see the delta as we play through, so you can see with your animation. So you can use this to do sprite creation, sprite animation, and so on. Very, very freaking powerful tool. Now let's go out and check farther and see something even more impressive. Let's go take a look at this one. So this is, well, let's just go ahead and show it. This is a disco ball. And how is this being created? Well, you think to yourself, okay, well, this is using a network of nodes as well, right? No, it's not. Let's go check this one out here. This is using a node here. You're going to notice here, the input for this node is this over here, which is a shader node. Yeah, so you can actually pass in, let's go ahead and edit this out right there. You can pass in shaders that you can actually have work on your object as well. So if you're good at I think this is GLSL shaders here. You can actually drop them in and have it do shader support for you as well. So this is a super powered tool in terms of what it is capable of doing. Again, you can mix vector graphics, so traditional painting work, so something like you would do with Photoshop or Krita. You can do that here, but you can also, again, switch into pixel art or painting modes. And the coolest thing is you can actually mix all these together. So I'm going to show you that now. Let's create, again, 64 by 64. Sure, works for me. So here you can see, and again, zoom in, we see the grid. By the way, if you don't want to see the grid or you want to change the side of the grid, you can do that right here and change it. You also have snapping tools here, tools for flipping things vertically or horizontally. You have mirroring tools, etc. And you can also hide that down. By the way, you can also hide the entire user interface if you want. You can toggle off the HUD like so, or toggle it back on. At the same time, you have full over here, you've got palettes and color swatches and so on that you can work with. And of course, you've got the color picker approach as well. So if you're working with fixed palettes on your sprite art, they have tools for that here as well. So let's go ahead and showcase a very simple pixel art demonstration. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll pick this and we'll just create a red ball. Now you can notice that is very clean. Well, that's because I'm actually in vector mode. If I wanted to do, let's undo that, switch over here to pixel art mode, and then I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now you're going to see you get your pixels instead of that clean vector look. Now, what if you wanted to actually go ahead and do both of these things? Well, that is where it gets even cooler. Because what I can do is I can take this and I can take the other one over here. So I go back here to vector mode. So you're going to see over here right now I have a base layer. I'm going to create a vector layer with another circle on it. And then boom. So you see here you've got your clean lines like you would expect from a vector image. And then you've got your pixelated lines here. And you can actually mix and match these to your heart's content. But then I can do something even cooler is I can take this guy right here and I can merge it to the layer below. And then what you're going to see is it actually pixelates it, so you've got a consistent art style. So in this tool, you can actually work in clean line vector work, you can work in pixel art mode, but you can also go ahead and mix and match the two or have one turn into the other. This is a super powered tool in terms of what it's capable of. So now that this is actually here, we can go ahead and show you the animation aspect. So I'm going to go ahead here, and we're going to start with duplicating the frame. So we got our first frame over here. We're going to move forward 5 frames, and then what I'm going to do is just basically take this one, Control-C, Control-V. So there is our secondary frame there, and then I could do just something simple like move it, or I could draw something on screen or whatever. So again, here, let's go ahead, pixel art. So we got other tools here specific to pixel art tools. You can see, again, this toolbar changes based off of which mode you have selected. But here, for example, we've got this lighting tool. So for part of our animation, we were moving down, and we wanted to lighten this as we go. You see all your tools, strengths, and features are over here. So we could go ahead here, and then you see there, we add some lighting shadow to it. And then I could go ahead and let's Control-C, let's move to here, and then drop that in, and then we could go ahead and lighten it a little bit more, move it around, etc. So you got all your animation tools over here. Let's pick our frame rate. So let's do that at like, I don't know, maybe 8 frames per second, and preview what that looks like. So there is our wonderful animation with different coloring, lighting. Nothing special going on there, but you get an idea how these things all work together. And then we can incorporate that other aspect of this. So with our layer selected, this is on a per layer basis, we can go over here into our node graph, and here you can see, very simple. So if you worked with something like blueprints or geometry nodes, etc., you'll know how this works. But we got here, our generator there was the raw ellipse that we started with, the pixel ellipse. So we could do things, so we could feed it, we could set the opacity of it, and we could set that as an input if we wish, or we could change that over time. By the way, we could actually animate that value. Let's go back, make that back to full screen or full opacity there. But then what I can do is I can come in here and you see a number of different settings here. So you don't have traditional filters like you would in a lot of things like Photoshop, etc., but you have all that functionality here. So let's go ahead and show you an example. I could go ahead, I could create a noise, for example, have that come in. But what I'm going to do instead is select that. I'm going to come down here to filters, and I'm going to say apply filter, and I'm going to just drop that pin into the apply filter and drop that into the output filter like so. So now our output is being handled that way. And now what I'm going to do is come up here and create another thing. Again, go back to filters. Let's pick a filter. So let's do a shadow filter. We're going to do a drop shadow on this. So we'll drop that in there, drop that there, and you're going to immediately see the results of our shadow there. So that's how easy it is to do something like add a shadow around your object. And again, all of your controls are available over here. You can change the color of your shadow if you want, and it updates in real time as you work with it. And again, we got a ton of other nodes here. We have some for like, you know, do a color input there. We've got Boolean options. You can merge things together. You can do vector math on a vector shape. So again, that's what enabled us to go back here and create this scene right here entirely using node networks. But you can use nodes as simply as to just apply a filter to your object. And that's really super powerful tooling there. So that's kind of the whole idea behind PixiEditor. If you want to go ahead and check it out, it is available over here on their website. Their website is PixiEditor.net. Again, it's got procedural art, pixel art, image editing, vector art, and animation all together with a node graph system behind the scenes that gives you that procedural capabilities as well. It's super awesome what this thing is actually able to do. It is also available cross-platform, which is very cool. It is a native app, so this is not running in your browser. No AI involved, works entirely offline. It is free and open source. They just dropped their 2.0 release, and then in 2026, they're looking at adding vector animations, Lottie support, brush engines, tile tools, and then at some point, they're going to add an asset marketplace, a web version, command line interface, interactive graphics formats, and so on. So right now, this is just a really cool application. You go ahead and you can download it from their website right here. As you can see, it's available for Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. On top of that, this is an open source project. So if you want to go ahead and check out the code, it is available up on GitHub. So here we are on the repository. As you're going to notice, this one here is under the LGPL v3 license. LGPL, in my humble opinion, is better than the GPL. This is perfectly fine for applications. I just don't like it when game engines or libraries use LGPL, but for applications, perfectly usable, and it actually it incentivizes contributing back to the code base. But if you want, you can actually download all of the code as well. There are some premium versions of this available, but they kind of just add a bunch of assets and plugins to it on top of what you see here. So PixiEditor, if you're looking for a graphics application for like any kind of 2D graphics, be it procedural, be it 2D pixel art or vector graphics or just traditional painterly style, this thing has you covered. This one is pretty awesome. To the people that recommended me checking it out, thank you for the recommendations, and for everyone else who hasn't necessarily checked it out yet, do so. It's a very cool program. All right, that's it. I'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.